That was a race, I have to say, folks, that should have been won. That was a race that absolutely should have been won. And I don't know what happened to him. He disappeared. He disappeared. And I wasn't happy about it, I'll be honest, because I am not a fan of Barack Obama, and that was a race that I backed Mitt Romney. I backed him. You can see how loyal he is. He was begging for my endorsement. I could have said, Mitt, drop to your knees. He would have dropped to his knees. He was begging. Sure.
Donald Trump taking time to respond to Mitt Romney this afternoon in Maine, after Romney ripped him earlier in the day during a speech at the University of Utah. When you get past the strident rhetoric that the 2012 GOP nominee used this morning against a fellow Republican, rhetoric Romney never used against Barack Obama 4 years ago, you hear Mitt say something that, albeit unintentionally, reveals the real Romney.
If the other candidates can find some common ground, I believe we can nominate a person who can win the general election and who will represent the values and policies of conservatism. Given the current delegate selection process, that means that I'd vote for Marco Rubio in Florida, and for John Kasich in Ohio, and for Ted Cruz, or whichever one of the other two contenders has the best chance of beating Mr. Trump in a given state.
So let's get this straight. Mitt would vote for Rubio in Florida, Kasich in Ohio, and for Cruz wherever. Well, so much for one man, one vote, much less one Mitt, one vote. And when you get right down to it, the governor has given us a glimpse of who he really is. Try as he might, he just cannot take a stand. That's why he was pro-choice when he ran for governor of Massachusetts, but pro-life when he ran for president. That's why on the campaign trail in 2012, he said he was for enforcing immigration law, but more recently has voiced his support for amnesty, or to use the establishment buzz phrase, comprehensive immigration reform. And this is the guy who gets up this morning and tells us that Trump is the flip-flopper? Please, Mitt, if you want to attack the front-runner, why don't you announce that you're running again, or at least endorse someone else? But for Romney to rip Trump where he did, when he did, and why he did, it'll probably end up helping Trump, not hurting him. The bottom line is this. People are tired of being told that the establishment knows better than they do, especially when they see establishment figures like Mitt Romney reverse positions time and again on policy and, yes, on people. Don't forget, as Mr. Trump reminded us, that just 4 years ago, Romney was praising Trump, not dissing him. But of course, that was then, this is now, and when tomorrow comes, who knows what Romney's response will be? At least, that's the way I see it. Now, for the way you see it, your comments via social media, a lot of you are still commenting on the standoff between Apple and the FBI, including Darby, who writes, "Really? The FBI can't hack into an iPhone? Come on now. Even amateur crooks could do the job. The government is lying again, using their standard war on terror excuse to demand a permanent backdoor into our personal devices. This was never about getting into terrorists' phones." Many others wrote in about Donald Trump having Chris Christie behind him up on the podium, including Vic, who writes, "That clip of Trump and Christie was great. Christie was thinking, my gosh, what have I done?" Randy writes in to say, "If Donald Trump chooses Chris Christie or any other establishment politician as a running mate, he will lose my vote as well as many others, period." And many of you voiced your opinion on Mitt Romney speaking out against Donald Trump, thereby thrusting Mitt into this year's election, including Sandra, who writes in, "I'm furious that Mitt Romney and the Washington, D.C. establishment are trying to derail Donald Trump and change the outcome of the 2016 election to protect their political class. They're not going to tell me who to vote for. I can think for myself." And finally, this reminder tonight that we will have for you a debate special. After all, that debate gets underway shortly in Detroit. We'll be on the air at 11 Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. For now, stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.